This is Optimal Living Daily Relationships, episode 177. 10 Toxic Relationships Mentally Strong People Avoid, Part 1, by Marc Chernoff of and&nbsp. And I'm Joss Marie, your host and personal narrator. I hope you had a wonderful Christmas, everyone, and welcome back to OLD Relationships, the show where I narrate to you from some of the best relationship blogs in the world about dating, breakups, parenting, marriage, and much more. Today's episode is sponsored by Smart About Money, a free website brought to you by the National Endowment for Financial Education, a nonprofit dedicated to helping Americans take control of their financial lives. To learn more, visit smartaboutmoney.org/optimal. That's smartaboutmoney.org/optimal. Today, I have part 1 of a 2-part post by Marc Chernoff that points out the types of toxic relationships that mentally strong people avoid. So make sure and come on back again tomorrow to hear part 2. That'll be episode 178. And with that, let's hear today's post as we start optimizing your life. 10 Toxic Relationships Mentally Strong People Avoid, Part 1, by Marc Chernoff of and&nbsp. Quote, "All failed relationships hurt, but letting go of a toxic relationship is actually a gain, not a loss." End quote. As youngsters, we learn about sex education in grade school, the legality of marriage in our late teens, and perhaps some social psychology in college. But when it comes down to actually handling the intricacies of real-world relationships, we're given very little formal guidance. Or worse, we're given advice columns in online beauty magazines. Yes, relationships are trial and error from the get-go. And if you're like most of us, you've experienced plenty of error along the way. A big part of the problem is that many toxic relationship behaviors are baked right into our culture. We worship the idea of carefree romantic love, where two people ride off into the sunset happily ever after before they even truly know each other. And we are raised to objectify our relationships and guard them like personal property. Thus, our friends and lovers are often treated as assets rather than human beings of free will with whom to share true love and emotional support. Fortunately, there's been a lot of scientific research into healthy and happy relationships over the past few decades that have allowed people in the know to build their mental strength against toxic relationships and toxic relationship behaviors. And that's exactly what I want to share with you today. 10 common types of toxic relationships mentally strong people learn to avoid. Number 1, relationships run by one person. A relationship is toxic when one person is running it, period. When you feel out of control or a little lost, it can be tempting to look for someone willing to take charge of your life for you, just to alleviate the pressure. But before you do consider this, if you put a collar around your own neck and hand the leash to someone else, you'll have no say about where they lead you in life. We should never feel powerless or trapped in a relationship. In fact, if either person feels powerless or trapped, the relationship doesn't really exist. Because that's what relationships are all about, freedom. Yes, healthy relationships are built on a solid foundation of free will and teamwork. And since relationships are one of the greatest vehicles of personal growth and happiness, the most important trip you will ever take in life is meeting someone else halfway. You will achieve far more by working with them rather than working against them or trying to control them. It really is a full circle. The strength of a relationship depends on the individual strength of its two members, and the strength of each member in the long run depends on the quality of the relationship. Number 2, relationships that are supposed to complete you. Our culture, which is predicted on fantasies of romantic love, often suggests that once you meet the one, You will be lifted out of your misery or boredom and elevated into a state of perpetual wholeness and bliss. So, it's easy to believe that it's your partner's job to make you feel joyful and whole. But the truth is, while a healthy relationship can certainly bring joy, it's not your partner's job to fill in your empty voids. That's your job and yours alone. And until you accept full responsibility for your emptiness, pain, or boredom, problems will inevitably ensue in the relationship. The longing for completion that you feel inside comes from being out of touch with who you are. Nobody else in this world can make you happy. It's something you have to do on your own, and you have to create your own happiness first before you can share it with someone else. Number 3, relationships that rely on codependency. When your actions and thoughts revolve around another person to the complete disregard of your own needs, that's codependency, and it's toxic. When you set a precedent that someone else is responsible for how you feel at all times and vice versa, then you both will develop codependent tendencies. Suddenly, neither one of you is allowed to plan something without getting approval. All activities, even the mundane things such as watching a TV program, must be negotiated and compromised. When someone begins to get upset, all personal needs go out the window because it's now your responsibility to make one another feel better. The biggest problem of developing these codependent tendencies is that they breed resentment. Sure, if Angel gets mad at me once because she's had a crappy day and is aggravated and needs attention, that's understandable. But if it becomes an expectation that my life revolves around her emotional well-being 24/7, then I'm eventually going to become very bitter towards her feelings and desires. As Jim Rohn once said, the greatest gift you can give somebody is your own personal development. I used to say, if you will take care of me, I will take care of you. Now I say, I will take care of me for you, if you will take care of you for me. In other words, take responsibility for your own emotions and expect your partner and friends to be responsible for theirs. There's a subtle yet important difference between being supportive and being obligated at all times. Any sacrifices for others should be made as a self-directed choice and not seen as an obligation. Read Codependent No More. Number 4, relationships based on idealistic expectations. You don't love and appreciate someone because they're perfect. You love and appreciate them in spite of the fact that they are not. Perfection is a deadly fantasy, something none of us will ever be. So, beware of your tendency to fix someone when they're not broken. They are perfectly imperfect, just the way they should be. Truthfully, the less you expect from someone you care about, the happier your relationship with them will be. No one in your life will act exactly as you hope or expect them to, ever. They are not you. They will not love, give, understand, or respond like you do. The biggest disappointments in life and in relationships are the result of misplaced expectations. Tempering unrealistic expectations of how something or someone should be will greatly reduce unnecessary frustration and suffering. Bottom line, any relationship that's real will not be perfect. But if you're willing to work at it and open up, it could be everything you've ever dreamed of. Number 5. Hear that in tomorrow's episode. You just listened to part 1 of the post titled, 10 Toxic Relationships Mentally Strong People Avoid by Marc Chernoff of marcandangel.com. A big thanks to Marc and Angel for letting us share their content so frequently here on the show. As a listener of our podcast, you're already interested in living your best life. How you feel about and relate to money plays a big part in that. Take charge of your financial life and reach your goals with Smart About Money. Smart About Money is a free website brought to you by the National Endowment for Financial Education, a nonprofit dedicated to helping Americans take control of their financial lives. Smart About Money's articles and courses are designed to answer your unique money questions and learn at your own pace. Each course takes between 45 and 90 minutes, and you can learn how to build an emergency fund, take charge of your housing expenses, and plan on living the life you envision in retirement. With Smart About Money, there's no catch, no hidden agenda, and no cost ever. Visit our special page at smartaboutmoney.org/optimal to get started. That's smartaboutmoney.org/optimal, and we thank them for sponsoring the podcast. And that's a wrap for episode 177. Have a wonderful rest of your day, and I hope to see you again tomorrow for part 2 of this post from marcandangel.com, where your optimal life awaits.
Hello, Life Optimizer. This is Justin Malik, creator and producer of this podcast, but also Optimal Living Daily, the show where I read to you from even more blogs covering finance, productivity, minimalism, personal development, and more from incredible bloggers like Derek Sivers, Zen Habits, Marc and Angel, The Minimalists, and all the ones you hear on this show too. So if you enjoyed today's episode and like taking amazing blogs on the go, come on over to Optimal Living Daily and subscribe to that one too. And together, we'll start optimizing your life.
You've been listening to Optimal Living Daily. Be sure to hit the subscribe button to stay up to date on each new episode, and head to oldpodcast.com. That's OLDpodcast.com for a free gift, as well as more actionable tips and resources to help you maximize your potential. Thanks for joining us, and remember, your optimal life awaits.